Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Chris with InsideTheU. Just wrapped up Miami Hurricanes spring football practice number 14. The only thing left is the spring game on Saturday. I'll have some details on that, some observations from practice today, as well as some interview comments. And also, too, I just want to thank everybody for subscribing to the channel. We hit that mark of 30,000 subscribers. I'll have more on that at the end of the video, but I just want to mention it, and I know everybody's here that wants to hear about the team, so I'm going to start with that first. First off, with the spring game, it's going to be at Cobb Stadium for the third straight year. The game will not be televised. It'll be on Saturday morning. And the reason why it's not being televised is last year, actually, the ACC didn't mandate that schools didn't have to televise their games. So Miami, along with the rest of the conference, most of the conference didn't. A lot of the rest of the country doesn't televise their games. It's a huge disappointment because I know a lot of fans would like to see their favorite team, especially the Hurricanes, obviously, on TV, but I'll be there, try to provide as much video highlights as possible. As far as the format goes, it's going to be a little bit different. Coach Cristobal addressed it today, and what he said was the first half of that day is actually going to be more like practice and drills. And he said he didn't want to sacrifice the work needed to do with technique and fundamentals. So they're going to focus on that. And he said they're going to do some live football stuff essentially for that second half of the practice. How many plays that is, I'm not quite sure. We'll just have to see. But they will be in full pads, and hopefully it'll be a good look at some of these new players. Obviously, all eyes on quarterback Darian Mensah. Hopefully he'll get some good series out here. Had a chance to watch him again today, have some thoughts there. But as far as the rest of the scrimmage, that just is what it is. And I know some people have asked about tickets and things like that. And it's just a select group of people, just a few thousand people. It's a small stadium. That's where the soccer team initially has their games, as well as that's where the track meets are there. And the spring games have been a lot of different places, but they're back at Cobb Stadium once again. Also, they're going to have a big alumni event Friday night. Recruits are going to be here. It's just a big weekend for the program, for the university, showing off campus. You know, the stuff behind me, the buildings behind me, Centennial Village. This is new over the last few years. A lot is changing, and obviously we've seen it with the football facility, with the indoor practice facility, still making progress. Looks good. I'm not going to have the drone up for that. And, you know, with Cobb Stadium, I was just over there, and they're actually kind of getting the bleachers set up, you know, kind of working on that and get some bleachers in for the fans. Food trucks will be here outside, you know, so they're getting set up for that as well. It's going to look similar to the last couple years from 2 years ago. So, you know, as far as today's practice goes, Mario Cristobal said the defense won the day. And look, for the viewing period when I was able to be out there along with the other reporters, it looked like that. You know, the defense, particularly on those one-on-ones, defensive backs against wide receivers, I thought the defense looked a lot better. You know, they did a good job there. So for Coach Cristobal to say that, you know, came out and said that the defense had a better day, I thought that was big, you know, because it's essentially exactly what I saw just in the period that I was out there, not able to be out there for the full thing. But, you know, one thing that Coach said was that throughout the spring, the team has done a good job of essentially, whether it's offense or defense, whoever won the day, one practice. And the group that didn't win the previous practice has done a good job of bouncing back. And that's a good sign. Essentially, not one group has had a run of it, you know, dominated a week in a sense or anything like that. So we'll see how the offense bounces back on Saturday. Because again, Cristobal said today wasn't a good performance by the offense. And we'll see. Darian Mensah, Malachi Tony, these guys, these wide receivers, how they're going to bounce back with that on Saturday will be something to watch for. And then just a few notes from one-on-ones. You know, it starts off with Darian Mensah at quarterback, and the quarterback's the way they do it, about 4 reps at a time. But Mensah starting at the 28-yard line, going in, and Joshua Moore at wide receiver, Jabari Antoine at cornerback, and Josh goes deep and looking for that deep ball. And that was kind of the trend of one-on-ones today. A lot of deep passes. These guys wanted to put on some big plays from quarterback-wide receiver combos. It just didn't happen. It didn't happen on the first play. Josh got his hands on the ball in the end zone. Jabari's right there, tight coverage. Josh just wasn't able to corral it, feet out of bounds, but official on the sideline ruled no catch there. Very next play, Malachi Tony over the middle, you know, against Poyser with the catch. Tony just doesn't get beat very often at all on one-on-ones. and he just utilizes his speed. He catches it, essentially races to the end zone, and you're going to see a lot of that. Excellent footwork off the line of scrimmage, but then when he gets the ball in his hands, like we saw last year, he's just showing excellent acceleration. The yards after the catch is going to be there, and him over the middle, where he can really, show his creativity in moving the ball upfield. I think that's going to be big for the Hurricanes this season. Certainly looking for a big year out of him. Very next play, again, going to the end zone. Luka Gilbert against Dylan Day, and Luka's not able to come down with it. And that's something Luka's got to work on in the summer. He's got to be more of a sure-handed pass catcher, especially at his size, especially in the red zone, there in the end zone, and he's got to be able to make that play. And then you start seeing, this a little bit of a trend. Cooper Barcade gets in the end zone against Xavier Lucas, who I thought looked excellent today in one-on-ones, but Cooper with a drop in the end zone there. Then it comes up with Luke Nickel. There's a little short pass there to Vandravius Jacobs on a little bit of a curl route or comeback there on the sideline, but it kind of gets it started there. And then, Israel Briggs had a nice touchdown catch on Omar Thornton. Again, from the 28-yard line, another touchdown from Cam Vaughn, who had a good day on these one-on-ones, going up against Brody Jennings there. Nice play out there, a couple incompletions. Again, I thought the defense, even though when I mentioned some touchdowns, that the defense just did a better job today on these one-on-ones. Luka Gilbert had another opportunity, wasn't able to come down with it, had a bit of a drop there. Again, Xavier Lucas on a pass breakup, and I'd say there's about 3 plays in addition to the one I already mentioned where he just got his hands on the ball, and he does a great job with his length. He does an excellent job of staying with his receiver today. But when the ball comes to his receiver, when the ball is thrown, Xavier's done a good job of just getting his hands in there and batting the ball down. Kind of like a wraparound with one hand, but he's not holding the back. And every time I see a pass breakup or any play is over, I check the officials. Are they throwing a flag on a play? And with Xavier, they didn't. So just a physical player that was getting his hands on the ball, breaking up passes. And I just think Xavier Lucas, I know we saw positive things from him last year. I just think he could take another step. I think he's got, I think he could have another, I just think he could have a bigger season this year. And seeing some positive things, he's going up against Cooper quite a bit on one-on-ones this spring. I think that's a good test, but today he did well. And, he did a good job breaking up passes. This is what you like to see from a physical corner. It's not just, when he's talking about physical corners, it's not just jamming at the line of scrimmage, or it's not just about coming up and tackling, about being physical. It's about making plays with being physical. When you're right there with the receiver on some 50-50 balls, make sure that the receiver doesn't come down with it. Use your size and your strength, and for him, his length to break up passes. I thought he did a good job of that without committing penalties there. So that was a good sign. Another good sign today that I'm happy to share was Ethan O'Connor. Had a really nice pass breakup in the end zone, and going up against Milan Paris, who's got great size, especially for a freshman. But Ethan did a good job of really getting his hand up there. Would have been one of these 28-yard touchdown passes, just a deep throw to Milan there. But Ethan did a good job breaking it up, and then he had another good play during the open period there as well. And I just think it has to be good. I know it's something small, but I've touched on Ethan. He's doing his best to kind of bounce back with the way season ended. He's had a few rough moments in spring ball that I've seen, and I just think, again, it's a small moment, but I just thought it was a really good play by him. So hopefully it's something he can build on, and hopefully he can have one of those performances in the spring game on Saturday, and feel good about kind of going into the off season, which I think is important for all players as it kind of their last practice of spring. But as Coach Cristobal mentioned, look, the season opener is just around the corner. Miami's going to go to Stanford, and it is coming up quick, a few months away. Everything has come up quick, it feels like, with off-season workouts, with spring ball. Now we'll get into some summer workouts as well as fall practices. Since the season went so long, they're kind of mid to late January because of playing in the national championship game. It's just the reality of where this program is. And then just a few notes from Coach Cristobal. He mentioned again today, Hayden Lowe going through some personal stuff. So hopefully he kind of gets back to it. He obviously has a chance to be a big time player for Miami, but we'll see. Got to be out here. Availability is a big thing. Coach Cristobal mentioned it today, but availability for a lot of these guys, there was guys that missed spring ball the entirety of the spring. How will they bounce back? How will they get ready for the season? How will they approach the summer and then into fall camp and getting ready for the season? So that'll be big for a lot of these guys, not just Hayden. I definitely want to thank everybody once again for subscribing to the channel. We hit that 30,000 subscriber mark. It's a huge goal, a huge accomplishment. I'm really proud of it. I'm excited about it. And, with how the things have developed on the channel over the last few years, it has been great to see. And it's been really fun seeing the comments from everybody. I've really enjoyed personally when people come up to me and say they subscribe to the channel, they watch it and things like that. So it's great getting faces to the views and the subscribers and things like that. So I really appreciate everybody. And it's really helpful. I can say this from doing videos. And I just think back even a few years ago when I decided to be on camera myself. This isn't something I feel very comfortable doing. So I've always just been very content and very happy with just writing and trying to be a reporter and write about the team and or even the channel. It was only highlights and interviews, and I felt very comfortable and fine with not being in front of the camera. So this has been a huge adjustment for me. Even now, from doing this for a few years, sometimes it's a struggle. Sometimes I have to do extra takes or spend extra time doing it or editing or not liking certain things or how to say whatever it might be. It's not always easy. So my point is, when you guys provide positive support, when you watch the videos or you subscribe or you comment on the comment section or in person, it is a huge help for me personally, and that's why it's so important for me to thank everybody. And it really comes at a great time. This team had its most successful season in a really long time. And so that's a lot of fun to cover this team. I've enjoyed these last few months, going to different things, going to the Senior Bowl in Alabama or going to the Combine in Indianapolis or whatever it might be. Going to Charlotte for the ACC tournament, doing these extra things for you guys because you guys want the content. So I really appreciate that. And again, things aren't always easy. So again, in these times, it's really helpful. And it also comes at a good time heading into the spring game. Because as you've known, I've told this story before, I literally do not think I would have been covering this team, the Hurricanes, back when I first started in 2003, if it weren't for me attending a spring game. And so every time the spring game comes around, I always think back, I'm very reflective on that. And so all of that with the subscriber count that we hit there, it's just really cool. It's awesome, and I just really appreciate everybody for that support. We're not done. I want to keep going. It's not like I'm just content with anything. I just want to address it, make sure I thank everybody, because it really is awesome to see all this. But we'll continue this moving forward. There's still stuff in the off season I want to get to as well, kind of continuing things. And then, spring game. I definitely looking forward to that. I'll provide my comments there. But again, thanks again for everybody subscribing to the channel, showing your support, watching this video, especially to the end as I address this, and looking forward to providing more content. So hopefully have a good rest of the day and take care.